Hi, now we're going to build on this first survey by adding some other kinds of questions. So let's scroll down and let me point out one thing that I did put on the instruction sheet that I did differently in the video. See how this last question just had a few choices? I'm going to come back to the question right before it, and in the directions that I put in Google Classroom, I said just duplicate this question, change it to a drop down, and then you could have the drop down menu have the same things, the same exact choices. I have no pets all the way down to, and we would not have the add option. We might make sure that's not there. And yours would look like that. And this one, I'm just going to get rid of. So see how much easier that is to learn to duplicate a question, even if you're going to change it into a different kind of question, drop down versus a checkbox. Okay, now we're going to look at how important some things are to people. So if you're one of my 7th graders and you're doing the interviews, you might be asking how important do you think counseling is if you're dealing with PTSD, for example. Those of you doing things about dog adoption or dog abuse, you might say, how important is it that people get their dogs microchipped in case they get lost or stolen? So think about your topic and what you can ask people about how important they think something is. That's for my 7th graders. For the rest of you, you can just kind of follow the general directions that I have here. But my 7th graders should also be thinking about their interview questions because you will be turning those into a Google form. So for all 3 grades, let's click on add a question and let's put how important is it to microchip your pet? And we're going to change this to a linear scale. And 1's going to be not important, and 5 is going to be very important. Now, that's fine the way it is, but keep in mind that if they click a 3, then they're not really having an opinion either way. So some people change that scale to be like 1 to 4. And that way 1 and 2 are more towards the not important, and 3 and 4 are more towards the important end of it. Let's duplicate that. Okay, how important is it to have a collar with an ID tag on your pet? And we'll leave it the same choices. 1 to 4, important, not important. Let's take a look at our survey with those last couple of questions. So we've got names and grades, we've got checkboxes and drop down, and then here are the 2 questions we added about how important is it to microchip your pet and how important is it to have a collar with an ID tag on your pet. I have a typo right there and I'm going to go back and fix that. Right now you can go to your directions and start working on the next step of your survey.